No guest today. Jeez. I have to do the whole episode by myself. I haven't done that in a while. Bit of a stretch. All right, is there enough in the news, I guess? I guess. No, I don't know why I'm wearing pants. I can wear shorts and no one even know the difference. Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, we finally get the truth about Judge's toe, and it's not good at all, and actually kind of previews what might be a bit of a brutalish summer coming up. So we'll get into all that, as well as all the drama with Josh Donaldson. Him and Boone kind of had it out in the office there, and I think Donaldson probably sees the writing on the wall. Get into that, as well as how he's styling Brenda's comments on his team. He's just curious why the fans are upset. Would you have any clue? I don't know about that. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the audio version of this podcast. So you're watching me now, but you're missing out on a lot more if you're not a subscriber. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe and get cool stuff like wrap-up reports, little stories and things that you can't see here, only for you podcast subscribers. So you may recall in that game against the Dodgers, I believe it was June 3rd, Judge makes that terrific catch, at Dodger Stadium there, but goes through the wall and kind of slumped down there, and that's kind of where the Dodger bullpen pitches come into the field. And again, it's not a secure area. Judge falls down there, had a hurt toe, and again, at first, we didn't really think much of it. He actually stayed in the game and finished it out. And it was like, well, I just sprained my toe a little bit. You figure this is a bruise like that. And then it's like it kept lingering and kept lingering and kept lingering. It's like, what's going on here? Now, did the Yankees know about this initially and, keep the kibosh on it? But nevertheless, eventually, it did come out, and Judge was the one to spill the beans, that yes, he has a torn ligament in his toe. So it's kind of a bizarre injury. It's kind of a little bit unprecedented, so you don't really know how to treat it fully. You don't know really a timetable to come back now. It doesn't seem like this is devastating where he's going to be out for the rest of the season, but it does seem like he's going to miss a significant chunk of time. Like they did some treatments on it. They gave him some injection shots, and they do the stuff with the red blood platelets, and they make good stuff, and they shoot in the toe. They've done that weird stuff. And also he's like walking underwater, the treadmill under the pool sort of deal, to trying to get it back that way. Again, really no timetable when he's going to come back, but it's kind of devastating news for the Yankees, because you just saw in June the offense absolutely plummeted, and if it wasn't for the heroics of the likes of like a Jake Bowers or a Billy McKinney, I mean, this team offensively would be nowhere, and you get to see why he truly is the MVP. Like, Shohei Ohtani might be more impressive, and I think Shohei is just going to get it this season just because Judge is going to miss a lot of time. But you just see Judge's value to this team, so even though you have good marquee players, at least on paper, on this team, without Judge, the offense is absolutely anemic. So this is really bad news for the Yankees, just for the fact that they're in third place in the AL East. They're climbing up. Now, like I say, the season's all done. It's all that. I mean, it's still plenty of season to go, and still plenty of time to Judge come back and have an impact. But again, the clock's running here, because now, as we just get with July here, you have rest of July, August, September. So that's really 3 months to play catch up. And again, the Yankees about 9.5, 10, 9.5. It fluctuates games behind the Rays in the AL East. So really, it's at the point where you got to say the AL East is probably going to be unattainable at this point. But still a very good shot for the wild card. Again, the Central's weak. And if you look at in the West there, Texas off to a great start. And, the Houston, the usual Yankee nemesis, they're kind of struggling themselves, not as much, but they're in second place. So, you don't think you would never count them out. So there's no reason to really count the Yankees out. But again, without Judge, the Yankees are in trouble there, because the real main problem, the reason is that the rest of the guys are not picking up the slack. And again, as I mentioned before with my podcast, if you listen to it, really it's 4 Yankees that are letting the team down. Number one, it's Stanton. Secondly, it would be DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, and Gleyber Torres. I mean, those 4 have to pick up the slack, and they just really haven't been doing well, and that's just kind of why you see the offense really taper off in June. And I can get each of them individually. We saw with Anthony Rizzo, again, he was having a really good season before this, but he had that collision at first base, in the Padre game against Fernando Tatis Jr., missed a significant time, and since coming back, he's just not been the same player. Clearly evident of that. Gleyber Torres, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. I mean, just having a lot of really mental mistakes more than just physical mistakes. Really in the field as well as running on the bases. You saw the Boston game, especially the one in New York, where he had some a big couple of key errors, and as in Fenway as well, kicked the ball around a little bit, and just making stupid bonehead mistakes on the bases there. I mean, he's not a kid anymore; he's a veteran. I don't know what's going through his head now. You could speculate a couple of things. Obviously, this is going to be his final year with the Yankees. I just can't see any reason for them. I mean, he's on this last arbitration deal right now. Why would they extend him north? Not that he's terrible. You wouldn't want to think of bringing him back, but of course you got Volpe, you got Peraza waiting in the wings, as well as Waldo Cabrera floating around there, even though he's not really impressing you this season. But I just think it's the two guys, Volpe and Peraza. You figure mark there for the Yankee infield, up the middle for the years to come. So I think Gleyber, sees the writing on the wall. So whether that's something where he thinks he's going to be traded, or I'm just not going to be back in the future and his head's not in the game, those could be possibly the reasons. But he's letting the team down. And of course, DJ LeMahieu, very frustrating. I think enough time has gone off the calendar where we, this guy's face the reality of what he is. He's a 33, 34-year-old who's just, he's just not the machine anymore. He's a good player. He's not terrible. And in the field, he's fine. It's just hitting-wise, he's not the machine anymore. The DJ we remember back from 2018 and 2019, hitting over 300. And kind of, again, if Judge is 1, DJ was 1A. That DJ LeMahieu is unfortunately doesn't seem to be gone. Is gone. We've been waiting a couple of years with him. He's had various injuries. Remember 2 years ago he had the hernia issue. Last year with the cracked foot and stuff like that. And it could be just a similar situation. Just something we saw with Hicks a little bit, and we'll get into him a little bit later. You just have all these injuries back to back like that, and with a little age of entering your mid-30s, it starts to come down on you. And obviously, this DJ LeMahieu, again, not the same player as 4 or 5 years ago. And we just keep waiting as fans. And I'm just as guilty. It's like, he's back and he'll just get healthy and start hitting. He just hasn't been there. He's been saying he's frustrated. So I don't know if it's something with his swing. Does he need to put his foot down early? Does he need to do something with the swing level, with his hands? I don't know. It's something to be fixed. But clearly, he's not the same player from 3 years ago. So he's not the machine. So he's letting the team down there. And of course, Stanton, it is what it is with him. I don't know what the situation, but he's just not, he should be almost producing the same, he's not going to hit 60 or 50 home runs like Judge did last season, but he should be much better than what he is right now. His comeback, he's had a couple of home runs. He had one home run against his first game against the Dodgers, wowee. Had a nice home run in that, the win the Yankees had at Citi Field there. But other than that, this guy's not giving you much. I think probably the best moment of the season was that double in the comeback win the Yankees when Texas was recently here. That Sunday game the Yankees took. The rubber match there, so he had a big double in that game. Wowee. But other than that, you really haven't gotten much from this guy at all in terms of production. Again, with Judge gone, he should really be, he's not going to be as good as Judge, but power-wise, he should pick up the slack. So he hasn't been doing it. So those are the 4 players I named. Rizzo, Gleyber Torres, DJ LeMahieu, and Stanton. They need to pick it up, and you can't just have Jake Bauers and Billy McKinney, because those have pretty much been the 2 more exciting Yankees as of late. They're nice pieces. Those are a good story, but you need those 4 guys to really contribute, and they haven't been contributing. And it's the fact that now Judge is going to be down for a while. If they don't pick it up, then this team's really cooked, because they at least have to hold down the fort long enough for Judge to come back, and then he can make an impact. Now Harrison Bader's back, and he's been good. Now he's still just got here, so don't expect too much from him, but he is a helpful there. The first time he came, we had a little delay getting him this season. When he did come down, when Judge was there, the offense was doing well. The team was rocking and roll a little bit. But of course, he fell in that game in Seattle. He was out for a while, and of course, then Judge goes down, and you need those two back as well. So again, no timetable of Judge. I'm not gonna say it's all doom and gloom, but those 4 players I mentioned have to pick it up. Just give this team a fighting chance, and then hopefully at some point you get Judge back. He's not going to probably be as effective as he was, last season. Again, supposedly the injury is like when he comes down on his foot, he's about to swing, which is kind of important. So, I think he's going to try his hardest to come back. I think he will come back, but those 4 players got to pick up the slack, or the season is just lost. Now, a 5th player you could throw in there as needs to pick up the slack, but you really can't mention him because I don't think he could do it, will be Josh Donaldson. Now, looks like him and Boone had it out a little bit. Now, it was during the Texas series, Boone benched him for 2 games, which, I guess Donaldson didn't like that. He was on the starting lineup. So him and Boone went in the office and they chatted and they worked it through. And then supposedly everything was, rosy after that. It's like, oh, no, we just talked about some other stuff, baseball off the field, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, there's going to be plenty of playing time for you and all that stuff. Look, with Donaldson, I don't know if he has a leg to stand on. Look, I understand one thing. You need your reps. You need to get your bats to sort of get going, fine. But, he doesn't really show much when he had his bats last season, and so far this season a small sample. Now look, you can't say he's been total trash. He has hit like 5 or 6 home runs since coming back. Now a lot of it has been in garbage time and insignificant home runs, but he has been making contact. But if you look at the batting average, it's around 150. So he's in no place to demand to want to play there, even though he's a veteran, a former MVP. He's in his late 30s. He's on his way out the door. That. It doesn't seem like he's done. So I don't see why he would be upset with that. But look, you understand his point of view. He wants to get his at-bats in there. But it's kind of hard to want to put him in there if he's not going to produce much. And you're better off even with like a a 60% DJ LeMahieu is at least a better offensive weapon than Josh Donaldson at this point. But nevertheless, they all worked it out. But you can see the fans are getting on Donaldson, which I told you was going to happen once Hicks was gone. Donaldson was going to be the next in line, and I just at some point I don't think Donaldson's going to be here for the rest of the way. Just at some point they're going to have to make a decision on him. Now I don't think bringing up Peraza is going to be everyone wants bring up Peraza. I don't think that's going. That helps you maybe incrementally. I mean, he was here at the beginning of the season. He didn't exactly wow anybody, and even the small sample we got Peraza last season. All right, he hit one home run in Texas like that, but was he really amazing, fantastic, and stuff like that? I mean, he probably would be better than Donaldson, but again, very incremental. So I don't think you can see Peraza up at least early. Maybe later in the season you see him up. But Donaldson, they'll probably ride him out for a little bit. But at some point, they may just cut him like they did with outright Hicks because, again, the guys ain't producing much. And, of course, I'm not going to put him on. It's just one game. But you saw that Seattle game, the one when the Yankees got blown out, him just kick the ball around and throw it to third base. And Herman tried to cover, but he wasn't even close. I mean, the thing about Donaldson, even if it wasn't hitting, he always had solid defense. But if you're going to make some miscues on defense as well, then it's like, what use do you have to this team? So they'll give Donaldson a little bit. Boone said yes, there'll be plenty of bats for Donaldson to come and all that stuff, and they will, they all hashed it out. But at some point, I think you see that they're going to drop Donaldson the way they dropped Hicks. And if you want to look at the fans' booing pecking order, they give Stanton his boos and stuff like that. But even though Stanton's more, high-paid player and more, I guess he's on a higher gravitas level, you would say, with Josh Donaldson right now. But once Donaldson is gone, then Stanton's going to be the next one lined up for some boos. Just because, again, he's not been living up to expectation, what he could possibly do. So, so Donaldson, I think, is protecting Stanton in regard. But once Donaldson goes, Stanton's next in the pecking order. And don't sell me on the whole, bring up Peraza to send down Volpe. They're not doing that. And Volpe, I understand, fans no reason to be happy with the batting average. But overall, for a 22-year-old, here's someone in double-digit home runs. And so you figure by the end of the season, this guy's going to have 22, 25 home runs. Not bad for a 22-year-old rookie, shortstop there for the Yankees. So, again, there are some key spots where he whiffs. And, again, you don't like the strikeouts and the low batting average. But he's not exactly someone that's hurting the team. Again, he's someone with the expectation you come in, he would bat maybe somewhere 7th, 8th, 9th in the lineup and give you what he can, play okay enough defense, and kind of learn on the fly. So, I don't think, again, bringing Peraza up and sending him down, I don't think, he's going to work on AAA and his batting average, he'll come back in August and be a 300 hitter. I'm okay with him taking his lumps up here. And again, he hasn't been terrible. He's been good. He's been part of some, late Yankee rallies, had a couple clutch hits there. So, you're just upset with the batting average, but he's not exactly someone who's bringing the team down. Who brings the team down is someone like Stanton, who he's depending on, or DJ LeMahieu, who he's depending on, or Rizzo, Gleyber Torres. I mean, those are your veterans. Those are the guys that should be, carrying the load. Whereas this is, Volpe is a kid, and he's like, all right, he's going to give you what you got. And what you got, again, is at the end of this, for him to hit like 20, 25 home runs in a rookie season, not bad at all. So, I'm okay, him being here, taking his lumps. Even if it maybe cost the Yankees a game or two here, he's not the one that's really bringing the team down. He's not adding as much as he could, but he's not really bringing the team down. And again, swapping him for Peraza doesn't make much of a difference. In fact, offensively, he's probably a little better than Peraza. Now, in terms of Judge, you might look, is there any replacement opportunities, whether in-house or out-house? I don't think so. I know some fans have brought up the idea of, hey, let's bring up Jason Dominguez, the Martian. I just don't think that's happening. They pretty much said it at the beginning of the season. They were pretty adamant that they want him to do a year in AAA first before even considering that, which I think that's the proper thing to do. You're already kind of experimenting with Volpe a little bit, and I don't think anything's getting Volpe's head. I think he's able to handle it. But you're going to bring another guy up here like that and have the same thing, like, oh, he's only batting 150, 180, oh, he's terrible like that. And I don't think incremental, I don't think he's going to, help that much. You bop a home run too, yeah, maybe great, and the fans will like it and get something positive for the fans to look forward, to look at. But other than that, I don't think strategically it's a good idea. Just let him complete the year in the minors, and maybe that's something you think about for next year for the Yankees. Again, I just don't think he's gonna make that much of an impact. Now, if he was just like tearing it up, absolutely, like going nuts, bonkers, then maybe hey, we got to bring this kid up. But he's doing okay, but not to the point where it's like, wow, he's just tattooing the ball all over the place. We got to bring him to the majors. That's not the case, so I don't think that's going to happen. Nor, again, at the beginning of the season, they were pretty, Cashman and Boone pretty firm. That's not going to happen, so don't expect that to happen. Now, you might look, at what else is floating out there around the majors. Now, a few whispers of, hey, let's bring in Juan Soto. Now, it is an interesting situation. He's arbitration eligible this year as well as next year, and then he hits the free agency in 2025. So, if you sweeten the pot a little bit, maybe the Padres might consider moving him. Padres, a really failed season for them right now. At least at this point, they're around third or fourth place in the NL West. Again, disappointing season for them. Again, they were in the playoffs last season. They made the big push, and then they had a big splash in the offseason. Signed Xander Bogaerts, brought him in there. Plus, of course, you have some big-name talent there already with Fernando Tatis Jr., who they gave a big extension to. They already had Manny Machado, and of course, they had Juan Soto there. And again, it's been a disappointing season for them. So, would they look to break that up a little bit, where maybe you entice them with a package deal of Jason Dominguez and Volpe and some other pieces? Would they consider the move Soto? Could be possible, and maybe, I don't know, maybe Cash Release makes the call to inquire about that. I would just say don't expect that to happen, because I just don't think the Yankees are looking forward to giving up some of their top prospects. Have Soto come here. Now, when he hits free agency, he's still going to be a relatively young guy, so giving him a big deal is not going to be like a terrible idea, but I just don't think you want to give up all your prospects and then have this guy have to go to free agency in 2025, because he's going to want to hit free agency to get a max, a $400 million type of contract. So, why would you want to give up all your good chips to get this guy for a year or two, and then you have to give the guy a boatload of money after he's given Judge $360 million, and you don't even have Judge right now because of the toe injury. So it doesn't make sense. So I would not expect Juan Soto to come here. The Yankees maybe make some smaller deal somewhere along the way possible, but Jason Dominguez, I don't see him coming here for 2023. And the Yankees, I do not see them trading for Juan Soto. They're just not going to do it. And of course, with July 4th, you look at the birthday of former Yankee owner George Steinbrenner, which was always a cool thing at the time. But we'll go to his son, Hal Steinbrenner, of course, is running the team now. And his comments, which actually it was like a local story, but actually got picked up in national headlines because they seemed just so blatantly clueless and what are you thinking, dude? Basically, it was like, I don't understand why, the fans are booing. I don't understand why the fans are upset at players. We got good hitters. Like, the fans are upset is because this really goes back to 2017, where this team was ahead 3-2 against the Houston Astros, one game away from the World Series, and really it's been a decline ever since then. The Yankees really haven't been able to get to that point, and the fans are frustrated. And I know the Yankees have been adding pieces, they've been trying, they added Cole, gave him like $300 million, brought back Judge for $300 million, but still, this seems the team's never going to get back to that point. And since 2017, since that that series in Houston, the organization really has just been in decline, and you see decline all around with players. You see the development of Gary Sanchez went down to tubes. Great, he landed with San Diego, but that's someone who was going to be the Yankee catcher for the next 10 years. Came on the scene great, and then he got to the point where he's had to move him out of here. Kind of see that a little bit now with Gleyber Torres, and not saying he's terrible, but he's not just someone you're looking to make to a commitment. And again, initially with the Yankees the first couple of years, he was great, phenomenal. You thought, wow, this might be one of the greatest Yankee second basemen of all time. You see him have a decline, and he's just not the same. And you see the same players have declined. DJ LeMayo in decline. Giancarlo Stanton in decline. You make the trade for Frankie Montas. You can't get the guy on the field because he has an injury. It's just a lot of calamity all around. I know the Yankee organization have a lot of money to sort of cover up those holes, but it's just seemed the fans are just frustrated that the Yankees haven't gotten back to that point where you look, it's about 5-6 years from that moment where this team still hasn't gotten close to getting back to the World Series, and overall, again, the team hasn't been back since 2009. So the fans are just frustrated about the whole thing, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the booing. Obviously they chase Gallo out of town, they chase Hicks out of town. Donaldson's teed up to be next, and again, I say after that, Stanton will become the target after that if he doesn't pick up the slack. And again, for Hal Steinbrenner to be clueless like that, I think he knows why fans are upset. Now, again, I don't think he dives deep into every news article and listens to sports talk radio in the car, but he watches the game. I think he has a good feel for why the fans are upset at some of the players. And I understand, you give a guy a player and you don't want to admit that you made a mistake like that, so you're not going to say anything publicly. But he knows why the fans are upset. But this is the comment he made. He probably. I'm sure if he could go back and rethink a little bit, I'm sure he could do a better situation. And Hal Steinbrenner, overall, I like him, and I like the fact that he has Boone's back and he has Cashman's back. It's the players; they need to perform better. So when he made those comments last year and 2 years ago when fans were clamoring, I think that was the right move. But for him to say, I have no reason why I don't understand why the fans are upset. Not a good choice for the boss there, or the mini boss, or the son of the boss. But one of the bright spots of being a Yankee fan is at least you're not a Met fan right now. So if the Yankees were in the Met situation right now, you would things would really be going nuts. So I'll say just take a little solace with that. I mean, the Yankee, as much as you want to complain, I'm complaining this episode, they all hovering around 8 to 10 games above 500, more or less. It fluctuates a little bit. So, it's not like the team's under 500 like those New York Mets right now. They're about fluctuating about 5 to 6 games under 500 there, and you just see a lot of panic on that side of town there. So I think that kind of at least gives the Yankee fans and the team some breathing room there. Again, if the Yankees were in that position, there'll be absolute anarchy going on. So I would take a little solace in that. Again, the Yankees still have a shot for at least a decent season. So we'll see how it all turns out. Mets right now are really in bad shape. You hear the fire buck chants like that, and of course you see them bringing in Verlander and have the Scherzer already there, and the money is spent on all these other players and the big payroll there with Steve Cohen. And right now that's just everything's on fire with the Mets, especially Francisco Lindor. He's having a terrible season, and I just don't think any situation where the Mets will be looking to bring in Ohtani in the team, because this team just doesn't even look like it's ready for the playoffs close to that. And the Angels kind of holding their own a little bit in the AL West there. Obviously Texas and Houston are playing above them, so I don't know if the Angels are exactly going to be have a shot for a wild card, but at least they're not having a season where it's just a total fire, a dumpster fire there, and they'll be looking to move Ohtani to the Mets. So I don't see Ohtani coming to the Mets at least this season. We'll see what happens in the offseason. He's going to get a boatload of money somewhere else, but just take a little solace that as bad as you think it is as being a Yankee fan right now, it could be a lot worse. You could be a Met fan. Now, the bright spot for the Yankees this season has been the bullpen and really the resurgence of Clay Holmes. Obviously we saw the bad Clay Holmes toward the end of last season. I guess maybe other than the first couple of weeks, for the bulk of this first half of this little chunk, I guess 1/3 of the season. But lately, Clay Holmes has been great for the Yankees, and it's just good to see him come back. With the addition of Michael King back, looks like he's recovered from his off-season surgery. Marinaccio up and down, but overall collectively, and of course Wandy Peralta in there too with the Yankees, and of course Tommy Kahnle. They've all been pretty flawless coming back, and they're probably the one bright spot for the New York Yankees has been this bullpen. Now, even though I'm not a fan when Boone kind of does ninth inning by committee, it looks like this goes with matchups. They don't have a de facto closer. It's been working for them, so I'm okay with it. I just think you should pick one guy and have him in there and just have everyone's role in mind, just so everyone knows, all right, when do I need to start warming up, when I need to do this. But maybe that's what gets in their head. Maybe that gets in Clay Holmes' head, where if you just throw Clay Holmes out there randomly in the 7th to 8th inning, he just goes out there and perform. Whereas if you leave him in the bullpen to stew a little bit, maybe he knows the 9th inning's come up for him and he starts thinking about it, he starts getting worried, and then he gets on the mound there and he can't find the strike zone. Maybe that's their way of turning him around. So it's been working for Clay Holmes. I don't love the idea, but if it's been working for him, I'm okay with it. Again, the Yankee bullpen, one of the bright spots of the season. Obviously not the offense. Starting rotation's been okay, pretty good, but the bullpen's really been the sterling silver for the New York Yankees. And again, Tommy Kahnle, since coming back, been pretty good, so good to see that. That's like the one thing you could be happy with the Yankee bullpen. And of course, you saw recently the Texas series when Texas came to town. Now, Texas came in as one of the best hitting teams in baseball, and the Yankees, the rotation as well as the bullpen, kept them at bay. They were averaging about 6.3 runs beforehand coming in, and during the Yankees series, the Yankees held them down to 2.1 runs on average, and it was good win for the Yankees. And really the final game, again, that rubber game win for the Yankees, I would say probably the second most important win of them for the season, just with all the bad news that was going on with Judge's toe, and he realized he got the torn ligament, and then you got Texas coming here, and I think if the Yankees would have lost that final game, and then obviously that's when they embark on a West Coast trip, I just think it would have left it would have been a bitter pill to swallow. So good for the Yankees to come back in the game. They were losing 3-2, and then had some players that you expect to step up. Mainly Harrison Bader with a big double, as well as Stanton with a big hit in that game. That helped pad the Yankees' lead. And again, it was a good, satisfying win for the Yankees when they really needed it most. The first big win, I would say, was way back, a couple months ago. If you remember in that Cleveland game, that's the one where Domingo Germán had the 2-hitter going into the 9th. The Yankees winning 2-0. Boone pulls Germán only on like 83 pitches, and of course Clay comes in and absolutely destroys the game, and the Yankees lose 3-2. And that's the first time when Cashman needed to step up and give some remarks and everything's okay, don't worry about it, don't panic. Soon after that, Beta came back, then Judge came back, and the team got on a roll a little bit. That was probably the first most important win. The Yankees win that second game. The second one I would say was that Texas rubber match game for the Yankees to win that one. And of course the Yankee bullpen, able to at least keep the Texas offense down and give the team a chance to fight back and get a win and get some clutch hits in the 8th inning, and that's what the Yankees need to do in Judge's absence. Now we'll check in on old friend Aaron Hicks, who I previously mentioned, with the Baltimore Orioles, and I remember they picked him up mainly because he was a Yankee, nothing less. Now, look, he's been doing well with them, so I'll give you a little update with them. In 22 games, he's hitting about 248 with 4 home runs and 11 RBIs. So hey, look, that's pretty good, but again, I'm just going to go back to my original statement. There is no way that they saw something in him that he was going to do that. Now, look, they caught a little lightning bottle with him. He's been playing bad. Maybe he's rejuvenated, he's refreshed to get out of New York and go to Baltimore, and really no one cares. And sometimes with that less pressure on you, you could flourish, and maybe that happens to him. And it does happen sometimes. It does happen in reverse. You know, if you want to go back to '98 with the Yankees, when they picked up Scott Brocious, he was like I think he was hitting like 217 with them. He comes to the Yankees, hits 300 on the nose with 20-plus home runs, and becomes the World Series MVP, and have those 2 big home runs in Game 3, including that monster home run against Trevor Hoffman. Again, Oakland A's probably didn't, Brocious had a couple good years with the A's, but they probably didn't see that potential with him. And of course, with stellar Gold Glove defense, which is he was supposed to come here for a glove, but he turned out to be a phenomenal hitter. No one saw that. So sometimes those things happen. If you want to go back, a little bit more recent with Swisher, with the Chicago White Sox, he was hitting like 210 before Cashman brought him in here, and then he can kind of flourish. And for a while there, before things kind of fell apart a little bit, like a 300-plus hitter, you're going to bat him in the 2-hole behind Jeter there, and he put up some great numbers. So sometimes that happens. You bring a player and you put them in different situations, and they flourish. And that seems to happen with Aaron Hicks. And look, all the best with him if he can stay around baseball more. Not that he was a terrible guy. He was just completely finished here. It was hitting with the ball with no authority. But the idea that somehow there was scouting him, say, if we just get his swing back from 2018, he'll be a phenomenal player. It's just they got lucky with him, and it turns out well, and all good for him. But I'll just go back to my original statement. The only reason they picked him up was because of the Yankee. That's it. No other way. Another one of the Yankee fan, little disappointments. Carlos Rodon looks like he's making his way back. A couple of rehab starts under his belt. And it'd be good to finally see him get there in the starting rotation. Again, he's just someone, but another reason why the fan has been grumbling a little bit. You go back to last season when they bring in Frankie Montas. He's terrible. He comes here, has an entire offseason, does nothing. And then before he get out there in spring training, he needs surgery to scope out some stuff with his shoulder like that. And he's going to be pretty much done. Maybe getting back towards the end of the season. But the fans frustrated about that. And of course, then you're frustrated with they bring in Adam Benintendi. He has that freakish injury with his wrist there, and you lose him there. And so you kind of look at the Yankees like, what's your medical staff missing here? You bring these players and go hard. You also add Lou Trevino to that list as well, someone who needed Tommy John surgery, and he's done for the rest of the year. So, with Carlos Rodon, they brought him in there. Of course, initially it was the UCL problem, then it was a back problem. He got some shots. He's working his way in. Again, this is the guy you gave $160 million to. So, didn't you check under the hood a little bit before he brought this guy in? I like the guy. He's not terrible. He had, he did have some injury problems when he was back with Chicago, but more recently with the Giants, he's been relatively healthy. So you can understand signing wasn't a terrible thing, but again, can you at least check that out before bringing him in here? So a little delayed his season, but it looks like he'll finally get underway for the Yankees. Doesn't help. Obviously, he's a good talent, so you put him into the starting rotation. But I don't think it's going to, make up for the loss of Judge. Just the fact that, again, Yankees starting pitching, for the most part, has been pretty good. Even Clark Schmidt, the poor guy, he's been pitching his heart out there. Guy can't even get a win because the offense does nothing for him when he's out there. And the same thing could be for Carlos Rodon. He could throw some phenomenal games, but if this offense continues the way they did in June, then it's not really going to help much. And of course, you're also waiting to get Nestor Cortez back. Again, he had the arm injury that he's done some throwing, so you're still away for him. But still, even if you have the starting rotation in there, as good as Garrett Cole has been overall, Herman, last couple of starts, haven't been too great, but overall I think he's been having a good season with him. Severino looks like he's got back on the right track. He's having kind of a 3-game blip there, so the rotation's been fine. Rodon's going to add to it, but it's not about the pitching, it's about the hitting. The hitters need to hit. And if you're looking ahead to the All-Star game, I don't even know who the Yankees are really going to send. You would assume Judge would get this vote in because the fans voting, but I just don't think he's going to be back healthy enough. And no, I don't think even if he is back healthy, he would participate in that game. He'll be better off this big rest getting off his feet. So you're not going to send Judge to the All-Star game, so he's not going to be there. So offensively, who else are you really going to send? Who else, would get voted in, or who else, managers and whatever would take on the team? Maybe you can make a case for Anthony Rizzo, but that's really about it. So this just shows how bad the offense for the Yankees has been. There's no one else you would even consider for the All-Star game. Now, pitching-wise, Garrett Cole is probably a no-brainer. And then other than that, maybe look for a bullpen guy because, late inning stuff, a reliever like a Wandy Peralta or Clay Holmes or Michael King. Maybe that's it. So if you look at the All-Star game, the Yankees only send about 2 or 3 guys. And if you're only sending 2 or 3 guys to the All-Star game, not good news for October.